Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Purnima Samant Khadakoti bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. President of 77th Session of United Nations General Assembly, Kasaba Korosi, stresses on bringing reforms in UNSC to prevent Russia-Ukraine-like conflicts, meets India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. First G20 International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting begins under India's presidency in Chandigarh. In Pakistan, at least 44 people killed and over 150 injured in a suicide blast inside a mosque in Peshawar. 8 people killed in South Africa as gunmen opened fire in a birthday party. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken urges calm as Israel-Palestinian conflict flares. Nepal to hold presidential elections on 9th of March. India remembers Mahatma Gandhi on his 75th death anniversary. India men's hockey team coach Graham Reed resigns following World Cup exit. President of 77th Session of United Nations General Assembly, Kasaba Korosi, has stressed the need to bring reforms in the UN Security Council. Mr. Korosi was interacting with media in New Delhi on Monday. Responding to a media query about Russia-Ukraine conflict, Mr. Korosi said the issue was discussed during the meeting and to prevent such incidents in future, Security Council must be reformed. He said India has been very active on Ukraine-related issues.
We discussed the issue of the war in Ukraine with Mr. Jaishankar. India has done a lot to advance both the Security Council reform, and India was very active in all Ukraine-related issues, both in the Council and in the General Assembly. The UN activities are mostly, for the time being, focusing on humanitarian problems, issues in Ukraine, and issues related to food security.
On the issue of China violating India's sovereignty along the northern border, the UNGA president said all the conflicts must be resolved by peaceful means. He said India has a vision how this world should look like and how India's role should look like in the changing world.
India has a vision how this world should look like and how India's role should look like in this changing world. The United Nations has a vision also how this world should change by 2030 and beyond, and we are working very hard to make it happen in the General Assembly.
Earlier on Monday, Mr. Korosi met India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. During the meeting, Kasaba Korosi lauded India's transformational initiatives for communities, including the area of water resource management and conservation. Acknowledging India's efforts towards reformed multilateralism, Mr. Korosi underscored the importance of India being at the forefront of efforts to reform global institutions. Prime Minister Modi thanked Mr. Kasaba Korosi for making India his first bilateral visit since assuming office. Mr. Modi appreciated his approach based on science and technology to find solutions to global problems. He assured Kasaba Korosi of India's fullest support to his presidency initiatives during the 77th UNGA, including the UN 2023 Water Conference. Prime Minister also emphasized the importance of reforming the multilateral system, including the UN Security Council. The visiting dignitary also met India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. External Affairs Minister of India said during the meeting they discussed global challenges, UN reform, the Ukraine conflict and G20 agenda. He assured Kasaba Korosi of India's full support in developmental progress and reformed multilateralism. Dr. Jaishankar also hosted a millet lunch for him. Mr. Korosi arrived in New Delhi on Sunday on a 3-day visit. This is his first bilateral visit to any country since he assumed UNGA presidency in September last year. Now we move on to our segment G20 in India. The first G20 International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting under India's G20 presidency began in Chandigarh on Monday. India's Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar and Food Processing Industries Minister Pashupati Kumar Paras inaugurated the two-day meeting. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Tomar said, India is developing rapidly due to science and innovation, as both are closely related to the future of India. Addressing the gathering, India's Union Minister Pashupati Kumar Paras said, the Indian presidency of the G20 has the responsibility to build on the progress made so far and ensure that the international financial architecture remains well equipped to meet the acute challenges it faces today and provide maximum support to vulnerable groups. With the rich and diverse experience of eminent experts from around the world, this International Financial Structure Working Group will work together in the areas of development financing, supporting vulnerable countries, maintaining financial stability, and upholding the theme of One Earth, One Family, One Future. G20 is in a better position to coordinate its efforts. Science 20 Inception meeting as part of India's year-long G20 presidency was held in Puducherry on Monday. Scientists from 10 member countries of G20, along with scientists from India's premier science institutions, participated in the deliberations. Invited scientists presented views and recommendations. The deliberations were conducted in 6 sessions. India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant on Monday inaugurated India's first model G20 Summit organized by Ram Bhav Mahalgi Prabodhini's India's Institute of Democratic Leadership near. The two-day model G20 Summit has been organized at the Institute's Uttan campus near Mumbai to celebrate India's presidency and make awareness about G20 among the youth. Addressing the summit, Mr. Kant said, G20 is an important forum because it accounts for 85% of the global GDP. G20 countries comprise developed and developing countries that have provided solutions to various global issues. Mr. Kant further said that India has taken the G20 presidency amidst global turmoil like post-COVID challenges, geopolitical crisis, debt crisis, climate crisis, and food and energy crisis. A total of 150 youngsters from across the country are participating in the two-day program and get into the roles of delegates representing the G20 countries. The best 2 delegates will be awarded a cash prize of 15,000 and 10,000 rupees. Discussions ranging from global peace to democratizing of the world economic order will be on the agenda. The first Employment Working Group meeting of G20 Summit under India's presidency will be held at Jodhpur in Rajasthan from 2nd to 4th of February. During the meeting, 3 thematic areas will be discussed. These include addressing the global skill gaps, gig and platform economy, and social protection and sustainable financing of social security. India's Labour and Employment Minister Bhupinder Yadav said this while interacting with the media in New Delhi on Monday. Highlighting the importance of the G20 summit, Mr. Yadav said that the G20 countries represent close to 85% of the world GDP, 3/4 of the global trade, and about 2/3 of the world population. He said the Employment Working Group under the Indian presidency of G20 has a mandate of addressing priority labour, employment and social issues for strong, sustainable, balanced and job-rich growth for all. India is hosting over 73 delegates from 19 countries, European Union and 9 guest countries and 9 regional and international organizations. The first meeting of the Education Working Group of G20 will begin on 1st of February. During the two-day meeting, the working group will hold deliberation on areas to ensure inclusive, equitable, relevant and quality education and lifelong learning opportunities for all within the theme of One Earth, One Family and One Future. Speaking to AIR, Secretary of Higher Education Sanjay Murthy said this will be the first time that a seminar will be held where 69 delegates from 19 countries will participate. He said this will set a benchmark for the other countries to follow in the successive G20 summits. He pointed out that the exhibition, which would be conducted as a part of the summit, has given an opportunity for 7 other countries to showcase their specialities. He said that focus is on tech-enabled education anchored by IIT in the workshop seminar and exhibition during the Education Working Group.
IIT Madras is doing the theme of tech-enabled learning. So the exhibition that is being there is going to showcase all the products which have been deployed by various countries in this space. We as a country have many major initiatives that we would like to show, be it the Diksha of the school or be it the Swayam platform of IIT Madras.
The budget session of Indian Parliament begins on Tuesday. Ahead of the session, the Government of India convened an all-party meeting on Monday. The budget session of Parliament will commence with the address by President Draupadi Murmu to the joint sitting of both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in the Central Hall. The economic survey will be tabled in both houses on the first day of the session. The Union Budget 2023-24 will be presented on Wednesday. The session will continue till the 6th of April this year. It will have 27 sittings spread over 66 days.
Budget 2023. What makes the headlines? What matters most for the people, markets, sectors, industry and the nation? Join All India Radio News for a special live day-long program on Union Budget for an in-depth analysis by experts, special budget bulletins, people's reaction on the budget and exclusive interviews. Tune into the FM Gold channel 100.1 MHz of All India Radio and other frequencies from 10:10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Wednesday, that's 1st of February. It will also be available on our app News on AIR and our YouTube channel News on AIR Official.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on Prime Minister's Man Ki Baat.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated India's democratic credentials seen for ages with credible and verifiable roots in India's Vedic texts, arguing that several rock inscriptions found across the Indian landscape affirm the heritage. Saying that India is the mother of democracy, Mr. Modi underlined that democratic values run in the veins of the people. The spotlight on India's democratic heritage in the 97th episode of the monthly Man Ki Baat radio program, broadcast over the All India Radio Network, which was the first radio broadcast in 2023, is significant. India has assumed the presidency of the G20. Prime Minister Modi thus asserted that democracy for centuries has been part of the daily lives of the Indian people. India is the largest democracy in the world, and we Indians are also proud of the fact that our country is also the mother of democracy. Democracy is in our veins. It is in our culture. It has been an integral part of our work for centuries. By nature, we are a democratic society, noted the Prime Minister. He also recalled Bharat Ratna Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's comparison of Buddhist monks' union to the Indian Parliament, which was an institution where there were rules for motions, resolutions, quorum, voting and counting of votes. Mr. Modi even mentioned the famous village Uttimerur in Tamil Nadu, where the rock edict dated to be 11 to 1200 years old has been hailed as a mini constitution. It details the constitution of a Gram Sabha and its functioning. Another example of democratic values in the history of our country is the Anubhav Mandapam of Lord Basaveshwara of 12th century, where free debate and discussion were encouraged. You will be surprised to know that it is even before the Magna Carta, noted Mr. Modi. Indeed, India is the touchstone of democracy in the world, even while several countries have seen disruptions and bloodshed in changes of the government. India has also evolved participative form of governance with devolution of power to the cities and villages through the 73rd and 74th Constitution Amendments. Mr. Modi delved into India's democratic traditions in reference to a book, India, the Mother of Democracy. The radio broadcast came close on the heels of India's 74th Republic Day celebrations. The occasion also saw the country recognizing several people of eminence who are selflessly serving the disadvantaged sections of society. This year, the Padma Awards recognized the efforts of the distinguished people who worked for the well-being of the tribal community. Prime Minister Modi richly hailed the works of Hirabai Lobi, Dr. Ratan Chandrakar and Ishwar Chandra Verma, who were honoured with Padma Awards. Many great personalities who have worked on tribal languages like Toto, Ho, Kui, Kuvi and Manda have received Padma Awards. People working with Siddhi, Jarawa and Onge tribes have also been honoured this time, said Mr. Modi. The Prime Minister stated that while tribal life is different from the hustle and bustle of the cities, their challenges are also different. Tribal societies are always ready to preserve their traditions. Mr. Modi very deservingly applauded the awarded people, as some of them worked with the tribals in areas which were known previously for Maoist violence. The Prime Minister noted the efforts of Ajay Kumar Mandavi, Parshuram Komaji Khune, Ram Kui Wangbe Nyume, Bikram Bahadur Jamatia and Karma Wangchu for amelioration of the lives of tribal people. Sticking with his conversational approach in the radio broadcast, Mr. Modi sought people's cooperation in dealing with the challenge of e-waste. He said the government is dealing with the issue, but people too should work on sustainable solutions in disposing of e-waste, including old mobile phones. India is making strides in embracing the knowledge economy. Prime Minister Modi told the All India Radio listeners that the country has jumped in the Global Innovation Index from the 80th position to the 40th. Also, Mr. Modi underlined that patent filings from India now exceed similar foreign submissions, which again illustrates that India's scientific minds are at the forefront in research works. While hosting G20 meetings in diverse areas across the country, India is pitching for innovation and collaboration among the member nations for scientific solutions to the pressing challenges faced by humanity currently. The world is celebrating 2023 as the International Year of Millets. The Prime Minister emphasized that there is growing acceptance of millets in the country. He stated that the nutritious dishes made of millets are being served at the G20 meetings. Mr. Modi also richly applauded the Kashmiri youth for their success in sports, while appreciating the snow cricket organized in Syedabad, Kashmir.
Nepal will hold presidential elections on 9th of March. The Election Commission of Nepal has decided to hold the vice presidential elections on 17th of March. Election Commission spokesperson Shaligram Sharma Podel said the president and the vice president will be elected through an electoral college consisting of members of both the houses of the federal parliament and all 7 provincial assemblies. In accordance with Article 63 and 69 of the Nepal Constitution, the terms of the president and the vice president is for 5 years. The term of incumbent president Vidya Devi Bhandari ends on 12th of March and the term of the incumbent vice president Nand Kishore Pun is ending on 17th of March. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. In Pakistan, the death toll has risen to 44 in the suicide blast inside a mosque in police lines area of Peshawar near Afghanistan. At least 157 people were injured. According to the police, the blast took place at the mosque during afternoon prayers when a large number of people had gathered for prayer. Police officials said there were around 260 people inside the mosque, which is located close to a police housing block when the blast occurred. A rescue operation is underway inside the mosque as a number of people were buried under the rubble after a portion of the building collapsed due to the explosion. Meanwhile, the terror outfit Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) claimed responsibility for the blast. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reached Israel on Monday on the second leg of his West Asia tour after concluding visit to Egypt. During his visit to Israel and Palestinian territories, Mr. Blinken is scheduled to meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. Before landing in Tel Aviv, Mr. Blinken urged for calm and de-escalation after violence flared between Israel and the Palestinians. Speaking at a press conference in Cairo on Monday, after kicking off his visit to West Asia, Washington's top diplomat urged all parties to calm things down and de-escalate tensions and stressed the importance of working for a two-state solution. Israel is reeling from an attack that killed 7 civilians outside a synagogue in East Jerusalem on Friday, a day after an army raid in the West Bank claimed 10 lives. In an interview with the TV channel, Mr. Blinken condemned and deplored the horrific terrorist attacks that took place in the last couple of days. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State met Egypt President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the country's foreign minister in Cairo. The Japanese Coast Guard has said that 4 Chinese government ships have entered Japan's territorial waters around the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea. It said the vessels entered territorial waters near the islands of Minami-Kikozima and Uosurizima early morning on Monday. The Coast Guard said that it dispatched patrol vessels to ensure that the safety of the Japanese ships and to warn the Chinese vessels to leave Japan's territorial waters immediately. According to media reports, the incident marks the second time this month that Chinese government ships have been spotted in Japan's territorial waters around the Senkaku Islands. The first incident occurred on the 10th of January. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Sunday said Germany will not be sending fighter jets to Ukraine. Kyiv has been stepping up calls for more advanced weapons from the West. In an interview with the newspaper, Mr. Scholz said there's no war between NATO and Russia and the organization will not allow such an escalation. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stressed that Ukraine needed more heavy weapons from NATO allies, including fighter jets and long-range missiles. However, Germany is committed to supplying 14 of its Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine on Wednesday. In South Africa, 8 people killed and 3 wounded as gunmen opened fire on a group of people celebrating a birthday on the weekend in a township. Police said in a statement that the owner of the house was celebrating his birthday when 2 unknown gunmen entered the yard on Sunday evening in the southern port city of Kabera, formerly Port Elizabeth, and started shooting at the guest. The homeowner is among the deceased. An investigation has been launched into the attack and police said a manhunt for the perpetrators was underway. India paid homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 75th death anniversary on Monday. The day is also observed as Martyrs' Day. Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated on this day in 1948. India's President Draupadi Murmu laid a wreath at the Samadhi of Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat in New Delhi and offered floral tributes to him. Country's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla were among those who paid tributes to the father of the nation at his Samadhi. The nation also observed a 2-minute silence at 11 a.m. on Martyrs' Day. An interfaith prayer meeting was also held at Gandhi Smriti in New Delhi on Monday evening. Vice President Dhankar, Prime Minister Modi, the Lok Sabha Speaker and other dignitaries attended the prayer meet and paid tributes to Mahatma Gandhi on the occasion of Martyrs' Day. India observed the National Anti-Leprosy Day on Monday. Speaking on the occasion in New Delhi through video message, country's Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandviya said India is making progress and new leprosy cases are declining year after year. Mr. Mandviya said India can achieve the target of leprosy-free India by 2027 with the support of society 3 years ahead of the Sustainable Development Goal target. Reiterating Mahatma Gandhi's enduring concern for people affected with leprosy, he said India's efforts to eliminate leprosy from this country under National Leprosy Eradication Program is a great tribute to Bapu's vision. Panel discussions at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization film festivals ended on a befitting note, with the final one being on the challenges and scope of promoting film festivals in SCO countries. Participating in the festival, film producer and consultant licensing syndications Swaroop Chaturvedi said the scenic locations in SCO countries can work as a catalyst for popularizing festival films. He added that the film market is constantly changing and the scope for profit always remains. Founder of Amelie Entertainment from Kazakhstan, Yuris Asel, pointed out that the advent of OTT platforms can play a huge role in popularizing cinema across the region. In women's cricket, India registered a dominating 8-wicket win over the West Indies in the final group match in the ongoing Tri-Nation Series at Buffalo Park in East London in South Africa. Put to bat first by the Indian side, the Caribbean nation posted a mere 94 for 6 in the stipulated 20 overs. In reply, India comfortably chased down the 95 runs with the loss of 2 wickets in 13.5 overs. Apart from India and the West Indies, South Africa is the third team in the tournament. The fifth edition of Khelo India Youth Games began in the state of Madhya Pradesh on Monday. The games will conclude on 11th of February. India's Sports and Youth Affairs Minister Anurag Thakur and Chief Minister of the state Shivraj Singh Chauhan declared the games open in a colourful ceremony at Tatya Top Nagar Stadium in Bhopal. Indian men's hockey team chief coach Graham Reid resigned from his position on Monday after the host nation's outing at the just concluded World Cup. Reid, who was appointed India coach in April 2019, led the team to a historic bronze medal finish at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. The 58-year-old Australian submitted his resignation to Hockey India President Dilip Tirki a day after the conclusion of the World Cup in Bhubaneswar, where Germany beat Belgium in a penalty shootout to emerge as champions. The Sensex and the Nifty on Monday witnessed modest gains. We have a report.
The Sensex rose 170 points or 0.29% to finish at 59,500. The Nifty 50 also added 45 points or 0.25% to end at 17,649. Among global stock markets, Asian shares ended mixed at the start of an agenda-setting week for markets in which likely interest rate hikes in Europe and the United States. Investors are also waiting for the cues from the US jobs and wage data, which will give markets a fresh update about inflation. China's Shanghai Composite Index rose marginally by 0.1%, and Japan's Nikkei 225 added 0.2%. On the other hand, Singapore's Straits Times Index declined 0.5%, South Korea's Kospi fell 1.4%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng plunged 2.8%. European shares were mixed in intraday trade. Oil remained steady amid looming interest rate hikes by major central banks. Signs of strong Russian exports was balanced by rising tension in West Asia over a drone attack in Iran and hopes of higher Chinese demand. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $88.70 per barrel. Back home at the forex market, the rupee appreciated marginally by 2 paise against the dollar to close at 81 rupees and 50 paise. At the multi-commodity exchange, gold futures for February delivery was trading at 56,780 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures for March delivery was trading at 68,490 rupees per kilogram. S. Rangabashyam for World News.
Now let us look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post writes Putin threatened Britain with missile strike, Boris Johnson says. The Financial Times report, German economy shrinks as energy and borrowing costs pinch demand. The Japan Times writes, NATO chief urges South Korea to step up military support for Ukraine. Le Monde reports Erdogan says Turkey might approve Finland's NATO bid, block Sweden. Straits Times says Singapore and Malaysia sign agreements to deepen cooperation in digital green economy. CNN writes New Zealand's biggest city braces for more heavy rains after deadly floods. A quick look at the headlines once again. President of 77th session of United Nations General Assembly, Kasaba Korosi, stresses on bringing reforms in UNSC to prevent Russia-Ukraine-like conflicts, meets India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. First G20 International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting begins under India's presidency in Chandigarh. In Pakistan, at least 44 people killed and over 150 injured in a suicide blast inside a mosque in Peshawar. 8 people killed in South Africa as gunmen opened fire in a birthday party. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken urges calm as Israel-Palestinian conflict flares. Nepal to hold presidential elections on 9th of March. India remembers Mahatma Gandhi on his 75th death anniversary. India men's hockey team coach Graham Reid resigns following World Cup exit. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnajan by artists from Australia. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.